Welcome to Promote Profit Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and today we have something that's a little bit different. We did a LinkedIn live training in October, and it was around newsletter. And really a fabulous tool over on LinkedIn for many, many reasons. But we also did this via PowerPoint and screen shares. So, love for you to listen today, but if this is actually something where you want to follow instructions, then I suggest you go over and actually watch the video version either on our website at superbrandpublishing.com/podcast. You'll find it over there. Or you can go over to our YouTube channel, which is Superbrand Publishing, and follow the directions step by step. If you do just want to listen today, that's great too, because we talk about a lot of the reasons why you should use this great new tool. But if you really want that blow by blow and follow the screen and set up your own, then definitely go over and check out YouTube or our website. I hope you enjoy this. We worked this along with Kris Johnson, and enjoy. Hey, everybody. Excited to see y'all here today. Juliet Clark, Superbrand Publishing, Kris Johnson, who, what is the name of your company now? I know you kind of changed it a little bit.
It's Barefoot Learning Club.
Okay, good job. All right, so you guys, here's what we're going to do today. We have been working with LinkedIn newsletter since May. And it has probably been one of the best experiences for us because we already produce content. So this is something where it was just an added layer of connection. And it's been amazing because it's been this added layer where we don't have to get an opt-in. We can communicate with all of you guys without that opt-in. And if you're like me, I'm kind of sick of having to opt in and then getting all these emails. So it's a great way to just have your article, your content put into someone's inbox. And you'd be amazed at when people have it in their inbox instead of through the feed, how much more engagement you actually get. So I'm going to get this started. Let's see, share. I had Kris share earlier. So let's go get this up. And hopefully I have the right one up here because I had two. Hold on, let me see. Yes, this is the right one. Yay! So let me go over with the slideshow here from the beginning. So this is what we're talking about today. And Kris, I don't know if you can monitor the live and see if there are questions, but you guys are always welcome to jump onto the Zoom link that was in the newsletter that I sent out earlier this week. So reaching your audience with the newsletter. So what we're going to be discussing here is what is a newsletter, the difference between a newsletter and feed, and that trust and launch that it gives you more engagement. So did that go right? Yeah, it did. Okay. So what is a LinkedIn newsletter? It's a series of regularly published articles delivered to the inbox of your subscribers. So it really is a more holistic, non-evasive strategy that also creates and builds your authority. So like I said, you don't have to opt in. All you have to do is subscribe. You're not going to get emails all the time. It's just that piece of content dropped into the inbox of your subscribers every morning. Or not every morning. We do it once a week, sometimes twice a week. So it's just there every Monday because that's when we go ahead and put this in. It's a lot different than a post in your feed. And the reason it's different is because when your feed goes up, you can post, but then everybody else who you're connected to that posts as well, it all drops. So you really have to scroll through to get the information. With newsletter, it actually drops it into your inbox. So there is room. People see that post, they go over if they're subscribed, and they're really able to read through it. Don't make it super long because people have no attention span. And what we really do that's effective with ours is we actually are able to write a short article and then connect with the podcast that we have, because some people like to read, they like to read that summary. Other people are the listeners. And if they're connecting to our podcast page, they also have the option to watch the YouTube video. So the way that we do it, we are really connecting with all three of the learning modalities that people use. So for me, I'm more of a listener. I'm addicted to Audible. So that would be, my methodology is going over to that podcast. But if I want to read, that article is there. If I want to go over and watch the video or listen to the video while I'm working, that modality is there as well. Now, by putting it inside your inbox, people can actually go over and connect and just read it. They don't have to scroll through. And if you're like me, I jump on LinkedIn once or twice a week. I scroll through. I like my friends. I see what they're up to. I read articles that are interesting, but I'm probably missing a lot because I have almost 16,000 people, following or that I'm connected to. So I couldn't possibly scroll through all of those posts in a week and see them. So this actually drives that right into my inbox. So this is important from an authority standpoint as well, because here's my beef with you authors is that you don't create content. We have classes where we actually work with authors on creating content because the first thing they say is, oh, I don't have time, which I get it. You're running a business, you're trying to market, you're attracting leads, for your small business, you're probably doing your accounting. You've got so much on your plate, but that content is the trust factor where people see what you're up to. Is your information good? If I take a piece of your information and implement it, does it work? Is it, we're all looking for instant gratification. Does it work quickly? So when you think of it from the standpoint that there are hundreds of publishers out there, there are hundreds of book developers out there, but if you have this piece of information dropped in your inbox every week and you like the philosophy of that person, because let's face it, a lot of times you're not just basing that hiring, you're not just basing it on, do they know something? Do they have that area of expertise? You're looking at, do I resonate with them? Do they provide value? So someone might come to me and I'm really an action person. I think we have a client right now who we have built a lead magnet in 3 weeks, a whole video series. And she's really blown away because it's like action, 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 action. We have something to do between every call. So, but if you're not like that, if you need to take a little bit slower approach, you're probably not going to hire me. You may like the information I give you, but it all has to mesh together. But here's the big thing. If you don't create the content, people don't know you're there. They have no idea. You can have the best social media post, you can have, but if you don't have that bring people into your world connection where they can trust you and then take the next step to call you or to pick up your book and read it, none of this is happening. So this is a really non-invasive strategy. We have gone from putting our newsletter in May to, I believe we have about 2,700 followers now. And that has really increased what we're doing. So what are the 5 the 5 reasons you need this LinkedIn newsletter? The first one is more engagement. We actually see when it's dropped into your inbox that people are taking the time to comment. Would they do that anyway? Probably, but they'd have to get through the feed to find it. So this has taken that element away, and we have tons of content every week, which is actually good for me because it means that I have to jump in every Monday and Tuesday and respond to those comments. But here's the deal. It no longer feels like crickets. Like it doesn't feel random who's creating and who's engaging every week. It's usually a group of the same people. And I've even noticed that people are sharing the articles because they're like, oh my gosh, we had a real estate person that was like, oh, this is a great approach to leads. And she shared it with her audience. And for those of you who don't know, once upon a time, I was a real estate broker. So I really appreciated that, even though I haven't sold real estate in a good 10, 15 years. I felt good about that it connected with that group because that is such a large group. The next is expanding your audience. The reason that I actually am, I'll tell you guys about at the end, that we're running this challenge this month is because we saw someone else, Shannon Proceeds, who she's probably watching this, said, I saw this really cool challenge that somebody ran, and she showed it to me on LinkedIn. And she's like, do you think that we can build this for me? I was like, absolutely. But I also noticed that this person had like 250 subscribers. And I was like, whoa, Shannon, I was in mine last week and I haven't really been keeping track. But at the time, I think I had around 2,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never even was connecting with how many people were following this. So then we got really excited, and we have our own challenge running this month as well. So it really is an audience expansion. And I kind of feel bad because, you know, when you're building an audience and you're really looking like every day or every week about how much is my audience expanded. And a lot of times we're really disappointed. So for me to find an extra 2,600 followers was like, whoa, how'd I do that? So really fun stuff. The next is brand awareness. So, you know, we go through our brand building, and if we don't have content, we don't really have something out there that supports that brand awareness. So that becomes, this becomes a way of sharing the look, the feel. If you read my newsletters, you understand I'm action, 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 action. That's part of our brand awareness. Is you're not going to languish in a program of mine for a year and not get anything done. I will probably fire you for not being a present participant. And I have actually done that. So this is really putting your authenticity out there. You know, when somebody sees you write an article, or somebody sees you on video, or hears your podcast, they understand. I would venture to say that anybody who has listened to my podcast knows that I have a really warped sense of humor, and I'm not very PC. Sorry, that's just not me. So if you're somebody who really likes that PC, you're probably not going to hire me. But that's the feel of my brand, is action. And, you know, I say what's on my mind. And if you don't like it, sorry, see ya. But this is what you're creating as well with this newsletter, is really an awareness, not only that you're there, you're creating content, but this is the look and feel of what I do. This is what I want my audience to feel like. And remember that brand awareness is super important, because it's not what you think your brand is, it's perception. Perception is reality. It's what those people who are following you and looking at your brand thinks it really is. The fourth reason, you're building authority. You know, content is the best non-salesy way to help people understand who you are, what you do, and that you do it very well. So you're building that authority in a way that's not salesy, that a way that provides value. So you have to keep that top of mind too. You're doing this without saying, hey, buy my book, buy my stuff, buy, you know, just buy. And you don't want to do that. You want people to really glean the value of what you put out there into the world. The fifth reason is it generates leads. You guys, I have new clients from my newsletter, which to me is really surprising, because I don't think that was the goal. When I put it out there, I was just kind of, hey, I'm going to give this a try, because I'm one of those people who doesn't care if I epically fall on my face in front of you, because that's authentic. We all fail. And I'm more than happy to share every single one of my failures with you. I have to say, you know, if you're out there and you don't want to publicly fail, Nothing will make you feel better than seeing someone else fail at the same thing. There used to be many years ago this platform, and I don't even know if they have it over on Twitter, but it was sort of that first iteration of doing a live broadcast. And I remember that I did it and I was like, oh my gosh, that was so horrible. I'd never done a podcast or anything like that live before. And I really beat myself up for like a day. And I can't remember what the name of it was that was on, but if you were subscribed, then everybody else who was subscribed and using it, automatically you were notified when somebody else did a live. And it was actually hilarious because the next day, some people that I knew, they came up, they were doing their live, they were real estate related. And one of the people I knew talked with their hands, and she actually hit the microphone. The screen, it didn't go blank, but you could see that they were under the table trying to get the microphone, and you could hear every word they were saying. And there were a lot of F-bombs and a lot of like, oh my God, are we still live? And I remember sitting there thinking like, I didn't fail that badly. So, when you do fail and you fail in public, don't be down on yourself because other people are doing it too, especially if you're running new technology. I think we did that. Bless you, Kris. I think we did that. We ran a live event and we didn't know that Restream, our very first Restream event, that you could only, if you didn't run it through Zoom, it only took 10 people. And we actually had another 27 people who tried to get on that couldn't. I mean, talk about an epic fail. So use this to generate leads. That generation of leads is going to come from people, number one, starting to trust your content, because nobody's just going to click on a landing page anymore and spend a bunch of money. Those days are long gone. You have to be able to transition people from social media into your list, into those conversations, into those places where they actually have connection with you and start talking to you in order to do that. So it's a great way to generate leads as well, because you've just produced something that's really non-salesy, that doesn't feel invasive, that doesn't feel like, oh my God, I got 7 emails from them and now they're selling me something and this feels weird because I haven't really connected with them. So where do you find newsletter? We're actually going to make this interactive today, and Kris is going, I'm going to walk through Kris. Kris's is not set up, so I'm going to walk her through it. But before we get there, I want you to take note, and Kris, please remind me to come back, and I think you need to unmute yourself too. When we do the invites for this, use a URL for all your invites. And we're going to come back to this because I'm going to sort of transition you over to mine and tell you about it. But first, let's let Kris share. Let me let you share. And I think let me make sure you're all set up to share. And I'm actually going to walk through with Kris how to set hers up. So Kris is right now, she is on her profile page. So over on LinkedIn, she's not on home. She's not ready to post. She's on her profile page. So Kris, I want you to go down. You can see right there where it says resources.
Yeah,
and
sure.
creator mode. I want you to hit creator mode. Go to next.
Okay.
Okay. Now you're going to see your eligibility here for what you can open up. So if you have not posted on LinkedIn, I believe it's in the last 90 days, you're probably not going to see this newsletter function. So if that's the case, then put together a content calendar and get yourself out there so that you have a pretty good stream. I would say maybe at least 2 weeks worth of posts, and then come back to this if you're not eligible already. So LinkedIn Live, we'll just leave because you don't really have LinkedIn. You know what? Turn on your LinkedIn Live. I'm going to make you turn it on because I think when we restream these will automatically. Okay, wait a minute. So you have abided by our community. You have at least 150 followers, and you must have recently shared original content. So go back. It doesn't look like you have met the criteria there. Go to newsletters, and I hope you've met. We forgot to check this.
Oh, I haven't done any original content because my business is brand new. So I
Uh,
have,
okay, so
yeah,
I guess this is going to be an epic fail for Kris. So I'm gonna take this off.
okay.
Kris, so you know what? This was a great example, though. We should have checked it in advance, but this was a great example of what you need. If you go over now and you're not eligible, click on there and see. I also don't think that you have 150 followers or 150
I do.
connections.
I
Oh,
have
do you?
more.
Okay. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to
Because
go back. I'm going to go back and share my screen. And I had not planned on doing this. So let me minimize, stop share. Let me go over. You know what? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You never actually know until you get on here what's going on. And we actually did go and check hers, but we didn't.
We didn't check that. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? I have to say that when I was a teacher, I used to do this with my kids where I would say, "Oh, I made a mistake," and they would inevitably get these horrified looks on their faces like, "Oh my God, the world's going to end." And I think, who programmed you that you're not allowed to make mistakes? Because that's how we learn. So now I know I need to go in and post some original content, and then,
Yeah, and here's the other thing, like, who told you you never fail? I remember, you guys, I probably shouldn't share this, but I remember being in our house and my kids, like our kids were the place that you hung out. So their friends were there. And I remember hearing one of my kids whining about failing. And I was literally like, dude, I fail every single day, and that's how you learn. So get out there and figure out how to get around that obstacle. And I remember their friends being horrified, like, your mom's mean. My mom would have, like, petted me on the head and said, it's okay. And yeah, I'm just not that kind of mom. So
it's the failure isn't the thing that's important. It's what you do with the failure that's important.
Exactly. So now you know why I embrace failing. So here, creator mode. So you can see that I have all of these are available. I've turned them on. I have the option, if I decide not to use them, to turn them off. But all of these, I would get yourself in a place where you can create all of these, because you can just do an audio event if you don't want to have I've never done that because I don't mind being on camera. It actually forces me to put makeup on, which I don't do enough. And believe me, when you're over 60, you should wear makeup. So LinkedIn Live, we're doing that right now. So we've done this in combination. So the LinkedIn newsletter, you turn it on right here. So now you're ready to go. So if you go over to set it up, then let me just go back here and see if it says anything about setting it up. Available, let me go over. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it is available. It doesn't give you the criteria that you missed out on. Okay, so going back. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go over and you're going to set up the name of your newsletter. And I don't think I can do that here. That's why we were doing this on Kris. You need to, whoops, my mouse is going wild here. You go over and you set up the name of your newsletter. So you want to have a newsletter name, something catchy that's related to what you're doing. The second thing is that you need to put a banner in there. So let me see if I can actually find our latest post for, I think, hold on, platform building, Breakthrough Author Magazine. Let me go back to all my posts here, and I think I can show you. Whoops, I wanted to actually be on here. If you go in your profile, you can see your latest posts right here. So show all activity. Okay, so it's not going to let me do it. It doesn't look like, unless I really, no, it's not going to let me do it. Okay, it is all my posts here. So Sarah, it's giving me everything. So here, I believe I wrote an article. No, I didn't. Virtual workshop. Sorry guys. This is Friday and we posted this on Monday. So can see everybody's. Okay, right here, Breakthrough Author Magazine. So you can see that that's the name of our magazine. I have a banner that we use, and I believe the banner is 1280 by 7 something pixels. So I think you can look that up on the internet. You can see here that I've put a description of what the magazine is, because we not only distribute the magazine, but we also distribute the newsletter. You can see here, published monthly. Actually, we publish weekly. I'm not sure why that says monthly. And you can see how many subscribers I have right there. And if you click on that, you can actually see who all of my subscribers are. Let me move this out of the way so I can get rid of that. Whoops. And then it's super easy to create a newsletter. You can see we've done 33 times now. So what you do is you just start a post. It's as simple as that. You start a post, go over to my network. Oops, I don't want my network. I want home. So if I were going right here, you can see there I am, write an article. So you can choose, do I want this to go out to my business page? Do I want it to go out to my personal page? I only have about, I think, 450 people who follow Superbrand Publishing on my company page, but I have over 15,000 that follow Juliette Clark. So you go over, very simple, upload an image, and hold on, I'm actually going to go in and populate this so you can see. Breakthrough author. Let me go over to talks. I'm not actually going to post this, but I will put it together so you can see. Breakthrough author pages. Hold on. Marketing and funnel. Oops. Hold on. What happened there? Marketing and funnel. So I have something here called talks. So let's do social media. Yeah, I didn't do one for that one. LinkedIn. Here we go. So here's my banner that I had created just for this talk. All right, you can see it fits. I need a big juicy headline. So how do I get more traffic? I don't know that that's big and juicy, but you have the headline there. And then you simply go down here and you write. So I actually have these pre-written, I cut and paste. So let's go back over here. And I suggest that you cut and paste these as well, because Kris proofreads all of my stuff. So it allows me to make sure that what's there is edited, because I type like a dork. And I know, I'm like I'm the worst. I'm the worst with this. So here's the copy. I cut and paste. I've got the date in there. This is for an event versus just something else, but you write the article. You always want to have a call to action here as well. So, gosh, where am I going here? I'm sharing. I'm lost where I'm going. So cut and paste here. If you want to use hashtags, feel free to use hashtags. When I say call to action, lead people to your website, lead people to a bigger piece of the article, because that's actually what we do. Is we have a condensed version of the article, then we lead people over to the article. So if you can see here, you do all that and then you just hit publish, and it drops into their email box, their LinkedIn email box. So it is super easy. And if you're producing content already, it is super, super easy because your content is always created. So normally I'm going to take you over to Superbrand. Usually we write a short blurb, a shortened article, and we lead people back to our content over on our website, which is our podcast. So you would see, we haven't done this yet, but by the way, Facing Financial Fears came out this week, Sarah Carlson's new book. So we have her podcast here. It's amazing for women, 8 Steps to Financial Freedom for Women. So you can see where I lead them here. There is a banner, there is an article. If they are YouTube listeners, they can go, or YouTube watchers, they can go there. If they are podcasts, they can go here, or they can just read the article. So it is all there for them to do, and sharing the content. And you guys, it is just that easy, just really that easy to do this. So that's it. Do you have questions, Kris? I saw some things over on LinkedIn that for some reason somebody couldn't get on. So we'll have to share this out when we're done.
I'll share it out.
Any questions?
I can't think of any questions, but what if someone doesn't, should they have the articles on their website like you do? Or where else could they lead them for where else could they post their articles?
So that's a great question. Yes, you should always, if you have a blog, you should always have it on your website. And I just realized I have more to share here with everybody too. I have to go back to the PowerPoint. Yeah, so one of the great things about using Podetize, and a shout out to Tracy Hazard and Tom Hazard, is you can see on my website that I have an article that's over 6,000 words. That creates my own indexing for the site. So all the search engines will index us. So we have once a week, a new update to our site that re-indexes us and creates our own SEO. So you can do it there. You can, one of my clients does a YouTube video every week. So she writes a very short article about a summary of the YouTube video, and then she sends people over to YouTube. So she doesn't necessarily want to create that SEO on her site, although I think she's going to change. I think we talked about her setting this weekly up on her site too. If you have a podcast, you can send them over to Apple. So feel free when you write that short summary of it to say, hey, don't forget to subscribe to my podcast. And get yourself subscribers. You might even ask them, occasionally, hey, when you listen, write a review. But the biggest point here is creating that interaction on LinkedIn, because that's where LinkedIn gets really excited about who you are, is the more engagement you have. And you get excited because you're creating your own audience, and also that engagement there with people who are following what you have.
Excellent.
Yeah. So content, let me just go back to that for a minute. You should be creating, authors, everyone, at least one piece of good content a week. You want to keep people, you want to be top of mind with them when they need you, or when they even, we had the girl, the real estate woman, who shared it with her audience, and she was a broker. So she had a pretty substantial audience. She shared it over to her brokerage page, which all of her agents could see then too. So really was kind of exciting.
Yeah. What was the last thing that you were going to come back to in your
thank you. Yes, thank you for that. So how do you get people to subscribe? I believe that it's automatically sent out to everyone that follows you, so you're connected to. We actually use a connection program that so that's one of the reasons we have so many. But the best way to get people to subscribe is, and we just did this with a talk last month, and we picked up, I think, almost 100 people from our talks last month, was use a URL to invite people. So what you can do is take people over to a post. And when I say a post, if you look at what we're doing here, and let me take this down again, we went over and we bought breakthroughauthornewsletter.com. And we did that for our upcoming event that we're running that I'll talk about in a minute. So we bought that, and then we went in and we forwarded that URL to one of our newsletter posts over on LinkedIn. So we told people at the event, if you go over there, you're going to see a subscribe button. And so hit that subscribe button and you will be subscribed. So it's really that simple. We are rerouting people through events and different areas, not only to connect with us on LinkedIn, but to be a part of that newsletter. And we actually have, for those of you out there that are using LinkedIn, we have a system. We connect with people. Then we run a report of who we have connected with in the last week, because it comes up. You can easily see who you've connected with. And then we go over and we invite those people to our business page. So we have built our business page that way as well, where people follow our business page. And then, of course, you have the newsletter, which is another way. People don't have to commit to following that newsletter. They can just, or that business page, they can just go over and grab the newsletter. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So I mentioned, oh, now it doesn't want to turn the page. Okay, hold on. What are we doing here? Page turn, there we go. So it actually did 2 pages. So we have an author, a 10-day author platform challenge coming up the 17th through the 28th of October. And we're going to invite you to follow that and have these articles. We have each of these topics will be covered. The start, the brand, content, social media, email list, power partnering, media, book launch, and monetizing your genius. We are going to have an article and a video every day during this 10-day period. And we're going, the video is actually done. The articles are written by me. The videos are actually done by experts in these areas. So brand is Julie Loken. Content is Tracy Hazard, the CEO of Podetize. Social media, Kris is going to tell you how to break down your book into content. Email list, my fabulous video people that I love, Nina Froreep and Robin Still. I think I just sent his name wrong. They send out the most amazing emails. They are one of the few people that I don't unsubscribe because I really enjoy their emails. They've actually done a video for you on list building. Power partnering. Megan Conter, who has the hugely successful Dames networking group. Kris and I are both a part of it. Women who are 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs are part of that group. We do what's called power partnering. We don't play this click game with building business. Media, Jackie Jordan, who is our media specialist and gets our clients booked when they engage her, gets our clients booked on major media, Newsmax, NTD, Fox News, there are some other CNN, as well as podcasts and magazine articles. So she's going to talk a little bit about getting yourself booked. Your book launch, you have to build all this to have a successful launch. So I have a video there. And then monetizing your genius, Shannon Procease, who helps build businesses, actually is going to be talking about monetizing your genius. And by the way, if you don't have that monetization piece planned, you're going to have a hard time with the book launch, because you have to have some place to take these people now that you've nurtured them. And then at the end, we actually have what we're calling it Platform Planning Palooza, where we're going to lead people to, which is a planning session for 2023. It's very personalized. We're only taking 5 people per date on it, because we're going to work with you one-on-one and get that plan laid out for 2023. And I don't mean like, hey, here's what I want to do. I mean like, okay, we're going to build this on Q1, this on Q2, this on Q3, this on Q4. And in order to do that, we have to build this on month 1, month 2, month 3. These are all the tasks. These are the things. We base this upon some coaching that we did with another organization, where people actually found out during the process. One of the clients found out during the process that they had recorded these podcasts, but they had no idea what to do next. So we actually told them where to go, how to set it up, what they need to do. That was their missing piece. They wanted a podcast. They knew they had to record, but they didn't know how to distribute it. So really super valuable getting that piece in place, understanding that piece, and planning for it. So how do you do this? Well, what did we just talk about here? If you go to breakthroughauthornewsletter.com and subscribe up in that, I believe it's in the right-hand corner, all of this will be delivered into your inbox every day. We will have something that you can consume and hopefully share and learn about platform building that you already don't have. So other thing we have going on is I Love Content is coming back in November. We already have a couple people signed up. We limit this to 6. And this is for those authors who do not have content created already. So it is a 4-week session. I believe it's going to be every Tuesday in November, with the exception, I think we did some shifting. So it's going to be the 1st, 8th, 15th, and 29th, because nobody works Thanksgiving week. At least I don't. So we have 4 group lessons, and then you have 4 one-on-one work sessions with either Kris or myself. And it's in that work session where you take what you learned on the group and actually apply it, implement. Like I said, we are in action here. So we're going to be working on content creation, content delivery, audience searchability, and Kris does a fabulous presentation on actually breaking your book down into content. And if you're thinking, oh, well, I need to have my book done. No. Author platform building starts a good year in advance. So it's taking while you're writing those pieces, and you can actually say it's a little bit of market research. If you take if you take a piece of that book and implement what we just started with in the newsletter, by the time you get to your launch, guess what? You have an audience to launch to. Imagine if I, at this point, released a book, which I'm not going to, although we talked about a pretty good book before we jumped on here today that I'm tempted to use my sarcasm and write. But if you test that and write those articles about it and look at the engagement you're getting as you are writing this book, you're going to find out which topics are really top of mind with people that they're engaging with, and maybe which ones are a little bit more obscure that you maybe don't want to focus on as much in your book. So it is really a learning experience. So if you're interested in I Love Content, we have 5 spots left. We already have 1 person signed up, and which is funny because we haven't really even promoted it yet. She's been waiting and couldn't take the one in August because of vacation. Reach out to me or reach out to Kris and let us know. The cost on this is $19.97. And like I said, you get a lot of one-on-one personal attention. I think last time we actually did an extra work session with 1 or 2 people in it because they didn't move along. They were actually really brand new to all this. And so we ended up doing an extra one-on-one work session because they weren't where we would like them to be. So anyway, reach out to us, let us know. Like I said, we have 5 more spots. We are also, when you get done with the author platform building, we have our platform planning palooza that we will be selling people into as well. And those are very limited because we work one-on-one with you quite a bit. So anyway, that's it for today. Is there any questions about anything, Kris, before we go? And I see that my person that was going to show up just pinged me again and said something came up. So anything you have questions on?
I have no questions. I think that there's a huge mindset shift that has to happen about author platform building, because I still think that write it and they will come idea is prevalent. And I'm here to tell you it does not work.
Well, here's the thing is most of the authors, they write these books not only to get more business, but for many of them are spiritual people. It's I want to make an impact. I want to help. I want to do something fabulous in the world that is transformational for other people. The truth is, if you don't build your platform, the average indie author sells less than 100 books. Think about that. How much impact are you making with less than 100 books? So when you build that book, you have already nurtured people with content to the point where they will spend that money to buy the book. And when they buy the book and they get more of you, that's the place where that engagement turns into, let's have a conversation about this transformation that I'm looking for as an individual. Or for us, it's, I want to talk to you more about the publishing. I want to talk to you more about the platform building, because I don't want my book to be a flop. And
Right.
I will tell you, last in September and in October, Sarah Carlson has built an amazing platform. She is selling books like hotcakes. Sam Eaton, the same thing. Sam came to us in January of this year and said, I want to write a book.
Yeah.
And she worked with Kris. She had the book written. She was testing the ideas. And, she made the bestseller list. Actually, so did Sarah. They both did in pre-sale. They didn't even have to wait for the book release. And it was because they did this in the right way. And, Sam had 9 months to build. Sarah's been building for years. But that's what we find when you build it. There is more impact. There is more business that comes your way because you've done it. So yeah, you do have to build it. Sorry, guys, you just do. Yeah. And we actually have an author right now. He hasn't signed our contract yet. I think he's still sort of looking for a traditional, but Jackie Jordan has had him all over TV about the next big thing that's coming up in 2023, which is the food wars. And he is a doctor. He's done a lot of research on these processed foods that they want to lean us into. And it's very interesting to talk to him and find out how unhealthy they are for you. And his book is not even finished yet. And he's been out on TV for 3 months already, TV podcasts, talking about this upcoming thing that's going to be happening. So, that's where you really have to get that media out in advance. You don't need to be, like I am the author of. You can be the author of the upcoming book, blah, 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 that establishes your your credibility. But at the same time, it's getting people prepped to, that interests me. I want to follow him and find out more about this book when it comes out, because I am a healthy eater. I have a degree in horticulture, my first degree, my bachelor's. And so a lot of science behind it. And he actually sent me out one of his he teaches public health at a big university out there. And he actually sent me the report. And I was like, I was really stunned that I remembered as much chemistry as I did, because believe me, I'd love to forget it. I hated that class. I hated the organic chemistry piece of it, which it really is what that is that he's talking about. So, okay, you guys, don't forget, go over and grab the newsletter and get involved in our author platform building. Even if you're thinking, well, I don't know if a book is in my future in 2022, maybe by 2024, but you're going to have to write it. You're going to have to test these things. So start getting that build. If you have a business and you decide not to write a book, all of this is going to help your business too.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you don't write a book.
Yeah, exactly. So
the other way too, where all the content you create, then you can use it to create a book later.
Yes. In fact, that is such a great point, because I think about 2 years ago, Twin Flame Studio and Podetize and we ran a, turn your podcast into a book. And I forget what we called it, but from pod to publishing is what we called it so long ago, 2 years ago, so long ago. But that's what we did, was we actually took podcasts that had been done through Tracy's group that has that transcription. And we took a series that were related articles and made them into a book for people. And the wonderful thing about that, the reason we had Twin Flame Studios involved with there are audiobook people, was because if you produce a podcast and then you read a book, an audiobook, your audience is not going to want to hear from the talent you hired to read your book. They are familiar with you and they want your own voice. And I'll even say back, I want to say like 2015, 2016, I interviewed Dory Clark, who has some amazing books out there. And that was my first question to her, is why did you not read your first book? And she corrected that with her subsequent books. Because when you hear her talk, you can hear the passion, you can hear, you get to see the real her in the book.
Mhm.
So, you know, remember that when you're putting these books together. If you're a podcaster or even a YouTuber, people are going to want to see you. They're going to want to hear from you. So we have expired our time. And you guys, I appreciate you that showed up on the live. I don't know if you've been monitoring it, Kris. I've seen things here and there, but I can't multitask and give a presentation and type at the same time. So, all right, you guys, we'll see you next month. Kris is our featured author. What are you going to talk about? What is next month's about?
Next month is,
Do you know yet?
I do know, it's on my calendar. I didn't write it. I'm going to be talking about I'm going to be creating I'm going to be teaching a strategy to prep your book. So cut your writing time way down, because if the power's in the prep. So,
Yes.
And I took this from ghostwriting 30 books over the years. I developed this strategy for myself to cut down on my time. And it's
Right.
And that's how Sam Eaton wrote her book in 5 months, is she used my strategy to prep it. And then when she was writing, it just flowed.
Yeah.
So-
And I used, before I knew Kris, this was actually the strategy that I used to write my fiction novels, was the exact same strategy. A little more complicated with fiction than nonfiction, but because you have to develop characters in there, which, by the way, I believe in the next month it's coming out. We have a fabulous podcast with Mac Griffin. And Mac actually develops with you your characters, like 2 generations of history. And remember that family and that history is what makes us unique, and it makes those characters unique. And we have a really fun podcast where we actually build characters on air. So I really enjoy working with him as well. So, all right, you guys, we'll see you next month.
Bye.